This is the second day of my July 26th visit to Sandown, which includes the day out and the return trip to North Weald. It's roughly an hour's flight to Sandown and an hour's flight back, and as I said in the first video, this trip is really about making sure the engine doesn't have any issues. At the end of the return flight to North Weald, the engine will have done 10 hours, so I would assume any problems would be apparent by then. Like the previous day, the outing starts with a 15-minute walk from the Premier Inn to Lake Station, and like the previous day, I did not study the train timetables. The scheduled service Island Line electric trains that run between Shanklin and Ryde Pierhead pass through Smallbrook Junction, but only stop there when the Isle of Wight steam train railway is running. The first train to arrive at Lake was not stopping at Smallbrook Junction until it had first travelled to Ryde Pierhead. It would stop on its return journey, so I boarded the train, went to Ryde Pierhead, then back to Smallbrook Junction. This is the train leaving Ryde Pierhead after the 15-minute turnaround. As the train passes along the pier towards Ryde Esplanade, you can see various contractors working on the pier structure. This work started 4 years ago, and it includes sandblasting and painting of the pier's supporting metal legs, as well as other major structural works. As the train pulls out of Ryde Esplanade station, the hoverport can be seen opposite. Smallbrook Junction is 3 stops after leaving Ryde Pierhead. There was only me and one other person getting off this train for the steam service, the first train of the day to stop here. There's no road or pedestrian access to Smallbrook Junction, as this was, as the name implies, originally a junction that consisted of just a signal box which originally switched trains between the Cowes and the Ventnor line. This section of line from Smallbrook Junction to Cowes closed in 1966, but was reopened in about 1971 when the Isle of Wight Railway Company started running trains between Haven Street and Wootton. Later in 1991 they started running services from Wootton into Smallbrook Junction, as well as building the station we see in the video. To give a clearer idea of the relative positions of the electric line and the steam line, I've included these two pieces of aerial video I took a few years ago. I've circled Ryde Pierhead, Ryde Esplanade, Ryde St John's Road and Smallbrook Junction. From the air, the absence of road or foot access to Smallbrook Junction is obvious. The 2 arrows show how the tracks split at Smallbrook Junction, one set of tracks going to Shanklin and the other set of tracks going towards Wootton. In 1950, most parts of the island could be reached by train from Ryde, with the now electrified Ryde to Ventnor line being the busiest on the island. Trains don't go to Ventnor anymore, they now stop at Shanklin. The Heritage Railway today runs on part of the Ryde Newport line between Wootton and Smallbrook Junction, about 5.5 miles. Originally, Haven Street Station was never intended as an important station on this line, but ironically has developed into the main station on the Heritage Line, being restored as a 1940s style station. Here I've circled Wootton Station at the end of the line. At Smallbrook, the 2 1990s built platforms are separated by a wooden walkway. This clip of the Island Line train was taken while standing on the steam train platform. The approaching train has travelled from Wootton through Haven Street Station to Smallbrook, where the engine uncouples, moves to the opposite end of the train for the return journey to Wootton. As the train approaches, you'll see the fireman place the token onto the hook on the pole. This is a safety system widely used during the steam era, mainly on single track lines like this one. On a single line track there would only be one token that gave a train the authority to occupy that section of track. If you did not have the token, you could not enter the track. When wishing to enter a section of track, the driver or fireman would receive the token, allowing only this train to enter the track. The engine changes ends and couples to the train for the return to Wootton. Here the guard hands the token to the driver, authorising the train to enter the track for the return journey to Wootton. But I'm getting off at Haven Street to explore the station. Haven Street is a 1940s style station which has a variety of interesting exhibits and facilities all organised to allow visitors to view and experience more than just trains running on a line. Earlier, while I was waiting for the train at Smallbrook Junction, there was a man who was there for the day to operate the points for the train turnarounds. He gave us a short talk and told us the coal they get nowadays from various countries is nowhere near as good as the Welsh coal used in the days of steam. It's interesting to watch people carrying out the tasks involved with running and maintaining the railway and the many different ongoing projects that are at various stages of completion. Out in the yard there was an assortment of interesting engines, wagons and carriages to see. This path leads to the Train Story Discovery Centre, which is a large shed housing a collection of static exhibits. All of the displays in this shed had information on a board describing each exhibit, with some also having an audio-visual presentation. These old 1938 London tube trains were running on the Island Line until January 1921 after more than 30 years service on this line. These 1938 trains finally left the Central Line in 1981. I took this video travelling towards Ryde Pierhead in 2019. Although people refer to the replacement 1980s built trains running on the line today as tube trains, they were actually built for the District Line. This tram would have run the length of Ryde Pier, the trams initially being horse-drawn in 1864, and in 1886 they were electrified, and in 1927 the electric cars were replaced by petrol-driven Drury rail cars like this one.
On summer Saturdays, each car was full to bursting. But modern safety standards were approaching. In 1969, the tramway was condemned and closed down. Over 100 years of seaside holiday history was over.
There was a short extension of the tramway to Ryde St John's Road railway station, but this closed in 1880 after only 9 years. This is an ongoing carriage restoration. That's my return train to Smallbrook Junction. There was no shortage of trains running during my visit. Managed to find an empty carriage for the ride back, changed at Smallbrook, then onto the electric line to Ryde Esplanade for a coffee and cake in the station cafe. I'd bought an all-day unlimited travel ticket earlier, which was only £7, so I thought I might as well use it to go into Ryde. Next day I made an early start as it was a Friday and I wanted to beat the traffic from North Weald to home. 9 a.m. ready to go, just one aircraft doing circuits and another inbound.
Sandown Radio, good morning, this is Golf November Juliet Sierra Papa.
Golf November Juliet Sierra Papa, Sandown Radio, good morning, pass message.
Good morning, Golf November Juliet Sierra Papa, Jabiru J430, parked up on the grass, request airfield information for flight back to North Weald, 1 POB.
Golf November Juliet Sierra Papa, Sandown Radio, readability 505, left hand side, continues QNH 1021.
1021, 05 left hand, Golf Sierra Papa.
The large rocket replica that keeps passing into shot is a Black Arrow R3, the only successful British rocket to launch a satellite into orbit. It's on the Isle of Wight because it was designed and built at Cowes and tested near the Needles.
Golf Sierra Kilo, turning final 05.
Golf Sierra Kilo, nothing then conflict, surface wind, variable less than 5.
I didn't hear where the inbound pilot came from, but he probably left his airfield nice and early to make the most of the day.
Golf Charlie Charlie, ready for departure after the landing.
Golf Charlie Charlie, roger.
This is the early bird just landing.
Golf Sierra Kilo, welcome to Sandown, when able, vacate right.
Golf Charlie Charlie, line up for media 05.
Golf Charlie Charlie, nothing then to conflict, the wind is light and variable.
Golf Sierra Papa, ready for departure.
Golf Sierra Papa, 1 just rolling, surface wind is variable less than 5 knots. Golf Sierra Kilo, are you just staying for the day, sir? Golf Sierra Kilo, continue up the Eastern Taxiway, park up on Road Charlie, please.
Road Charlie, Sierra Kilo.
After takeoff, I climbed to 4,000 feet to avoid the temporary restricted airspace along the north edge of the Solent in place for the jet exercise out of Yeovilton. I've circled the concrete runway at Bembridge Airport. The military jets will be tracking along the coast at up to 2,000 feet.
Golf Sierra Papa is crossing the coast at Chelsea, QSY onward frequency. Good day, sir.
Golf Sierra Papa, roger, frequent route, bye-bye.
Once handed off from Sandown Radio at Chelsea, I passed Ford Airfield, which opened in 1918 as a training airfield for the Royal Flying Corps and in 1940 transferred to RAF Fighter Command. Today, part of the site has been redeveloped into HM Prison Ford. Shoreham Air Traffic Control often use Worthing Pier as a reporting point for inbound aircraft and aircraft tracking east along the coast. Shoreham Airport is another interesting airport to visit with good public transport links to Littlehampton or Brighton. It's only a short walk from the airport to the sea and docks at Shoreham. There's actually a fort at Shoreham by the harbour entrance. Brighton West Pier, Palace Pier and the Marina. A good view from 4,000 feet. After passing the marina, I usually make a left turn onto a northeasterly heading towards Buell Water, which keeps me away from the Gatwick CTA. In the turn, Newhaven Breakwater and Beachy Head could be seen in the distance, and I adjust my course to the right to avoid flying directly overhead the two airfields coming up and Ringmer gliding site, which is well to the left of my track. The first is Kitty Hawk, which has evolved from a 28-day rural private strip in 1990 into a commercial, unlicensed aerodrome with multiple grass runways and a large hangar. Close by is Deanland, just to the left of track, which was originally established as RAF Deanland during the Second World War, serving as an advanced landing ground designed to support the Allies' push into occupied Europe. I have not visited either of these two airfields. After passing Deanland, it's a descent to 2,000 feet, then an almost due north heading to Ongar for the approach and landing at North Weald.
North Weald Radio Golf November, Juliet Sierra Papa.
Golf November, Juliet Sierra Papa, North Weald Radio Flash message.
Golf November, Juliet Sierra Papa, Jabiru J431 POB from Sandown, inbound to you, request airfield information.
Roman use 20 right hand, QNH 1018.
1018 and 20 right hand, Golf Sierra Papa.
You never know quite what to expect when landing at North Weald, but today there were only two training aircraft in the circuit and nobody else joining. You can hear Academy 11 and Academy 20 on the radio. I'll be flying over the end of the section of runway directly in front of the aircraft, then turning right to join the downwind leg of the circuit, roughly as shown by the arrow. This will be followed by another right turn onto the final approach to land.
Academy 20 downwind.
Academy 20, roger.
Academy 11 is on final, full touch and go.
Academy 11, surface wind light variable.
Academy 20, final touch and go.
The wind 190 degrees, 5 knots.
Golf Sierra Papa, downwind 20 right hand.
Golf Sierra Papa, roger.
Sierra Papa final 20.
Sierra Papa, surface wind 140 degrees, 5 knots.
Academy 11 is downwind, full touch and go.
Academy 11, roger.
I've landed quite short, so I cut out the long taxi to where I turned off the runway onto the taxiway.
Sierra Papa vacating right via the disused.
Sierra Papa, roger. Just confirm you're base aircraft, aren't you?
Stay firm, sir.
Happy to report all temperatures and pressures were normal, and compared to my Generation 1 engine, this engine does not seem to be using or blowing back much oil. So far, so good.